Hello, and welcome to our Disney Cruise overview. Da, 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 da. So, as many of you guys know, this is our very first cruise or Disney cruise that we've ever taken.
So, okay, we say that, but we have both been on cruises.
Right.
But it was like almost 20 years ago.
Forever ago.
Yeah, so it's something that I don't know, I feel like it wasn't a part of this lifetime.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. So we're starting over again. I'm going to take a mulligan on cruising. And so this is going to be, I'm going to count this as my first cruise ever.
I'm going to take a Mariah Carey and I'm going to say time is not something that I acknowledge. So, who was that cruise? I don't know her.
So because this was our very first cruise, we were kind of like not very prepared for it.
Well, and we never are. When we talked about that a little bit in our haul video, which I'll link that up in the corner if you guys haven't seen it. There's also a giveaway in that one. But we try to go somewhat prepared.
Right.
But usually not prepared enough.
Like I understand that we were going to be on the ocean, but I didn't know anything about what was happening while we were on the ocean.
You were prepared enough to like bring your own snorkel.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. Then we didn't bring other stuff that we probably should have brought.
Right. So we wanted to kind of take this opportunity and share with you guys our thoughts about the cruise, like our overall thoughts, some like little things that we learned on the cruise.
Some tips and tricks because we're cruise vloggers now.
Yeah. And then maybe answer a few questions that you guys had. Nobody asked a specific question. It wasn't like a Q&A, but there was a few questions that were like frequently asked in the comments.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through and answer some of those. So first things first.
I like how you use your hands a lot now that you've been on a cruise.
Yeah, that's my cruising hands. What was your favorite thing about the cruise?
Ooh, my favorite thing about the cruise. That's hard. Like just overall my favorite thing?
Yeah. Or what was your favorite part? What was your favorite day? What was the favorite experience?
I would say that I had the most fun on the Castaway Cay day. I was looking forward to that because I knew that it was going to be a good day. And then I would also say the spa day.
Oh yeah.
That was, and we'll talk more about that later on, but that was really a lush experience. Like it was very, not something we normally do. So it was really nice.
So these are all things that I wrote down and I didn't prepare Jen for this.
No.
And so you actually just stole my answer. So I already
okay.
have all my answers.
You're cheating.
Well, because I wrote the questions. My favorite day was Castaway Cay. Like that was my absolute favorite thing about the cruise.
I knew that was your favorite
Castaway
day.
Cay.
Why? That's not a surprise.
Well, but I'm just telling everybody else like that's...
Well, they knew. You said in the video, you're like, this is the best snorkeling I've ever done in my whole life.
Well, okay. So, well, spoiler alert. So fine then, what was your least favorite thing about the cruise?
Ooh, I hate to say it, but it was the food.
Dang, you're stealing all my answers. Yeah, mine was the food as well.
I feel like there's a reason why we're married. Like,
Right.
We have a lot in common.
And a lot of people did say, like in the comments, they're like, Disney Cruise is not known for the food. It's more known for the experience of the cruise.
I would 100% agree with that. But I would also say that we did get comments that were like, you guys are being too harsh about this stuff that you got for free. And I want to address that just really quick because I do agree. I do think that we are overly critical, but I think it's because we want to make sure that you guys have a true review of something. Even if we got it for free, even if we didn't pay to go on this cruise, we didn't pay the additional money to eat at Palo, you know, I want to make sure that you guys know exactly what our experience was. And if it wasn't awesome, I want you to know.
Right.
So I apologize to people if they think that we were overly negative, but I'm also like not sorry because that was our true experience.
Right.
If that makes sense. Hopefully the majority of you guys appreciate, you know, a brutally honest review. But yeah, but the food was just not 100% there for me.
And the other thing about the food is, and I sort of have to give the food review with a grain of salt, food pun, because because a lot of people really, really enjoy Walt Disney World's food, like the food in the park. And I don't think that that's the best food either. I think that the food in the resorts is really good at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And this food was on par with parks food.
So I wonder if the people that enjoy the Disney World food, because there's a difference, like the food at Disneyland is way different than the food at Disney World. The food at Tokyo Disneyland was way different than the food at Disneyland, which is way different than Disney World. So there's a level of quality that is missing from Disney World, I think. And that's all subjective. You know, food reviews are subjective. Like you might love something that I absolutely hate and vice versa, but the quality isn't there. Like the Rapunzel show.
Yeah.
I would say that dinner wasn't the worst and it wasn't the best, but it was kind of just somewhere in the middle as far as like the food that we got.
Right.
But the show made the dinner way more fun.
Oh yeah.
I think that, you know, the quality of the characters interacting with you, the dance stuff, the musical stuff, I do think that made up for the food maybe not being the best.
Right. And there was, during the Rapunzel show, a lot of people were commenting saying that it was really loud. And I think that was a part, like somewhat the camera, because when you're in that room, yes, it is loud. You do hear people talking, but it's not overwhelming the show like it seemed like it was on the camera. We had a good table for the view, but we didn't have a good table for the audio.
Right. But it was not the quietest dinner.
Right.
But it definitely wasn't as loud as it sounded on camera.
Right. What is something that you wish you hadn't missed on the boat?
Oh, okay. So this goes back to the entertainment, like the shows. We didn't watch a single show at all. And I think that was just because our dinner time was late. The show time was kind of like right before dinner or right before we needed to be somewhere else.
Well, the way that they did the shows is they ran them opposite of dinner. So there were two dinner services. One was at 6:15, one was at 8:15. So there's a show at 6:15 and a show at 8:15. So like if you have the late dinner, you're supposed to go to the early show.
But we always had something happening or something.
Yeah.
So I wish that we had taken the time and maybe skipped something else to go to one of the shows.
Oh, yeah.
So next time for sure.
Yeah.
Wait, what was your answer?
Oh, something, it was the shows.
Oh, okay.
I also really wanted to see the shows. I think if we go on another cruise, we definitely will make some time to see some. And then the other thing that I was a little bit like sad that we didn't get to do is watch a movie. Like there's a full out movie theater on the ship.
And they were playing Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet?
Yeah.
Or Ralph Breaks the Internet?
Yeah, and they were playing Mary Poppins Returns.
I was sad that we missed that. But there was just, I think that some of those things are for people that cruise more often than we do.
Right, or people that don't want to see the characters as much as say we would.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the character meet and greets were like right during the movies.
Right, and that's what I mean by like there was just other stuff going on. We had so much stuff going on because we're new to cruising. We wanted to try to take as much in as we could, and I just think the characters are hard to pass up.
Right.
So.
And also that's the other thing about a Disney cruise is there is a lot to do on that ship. And there's a lot to kind of give everybody something. So like if you like the characters, there's characters. If you like the shows, there's shows. If you like the food, there's food.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on those ships. Now I wanted to move on to things that we learned while on this cruise.
We learned a lot.
We did learn a lot. Mostly that it's not called a boat.
I want to apologize because we posted the first video and we had already done the cruise. We'd already been
back home.
Yeah, so for the next 5 days we said boat like a bajillion times. And I tried to cut it out as much as I could, like if it was something that could be cut out. But some of them had to stay in, and now we know.
So the funny thing about that is when Disney first got into cruising, they didn't have their own ships. The Magic was the first one they ever built. But before that, they licensed their characters out onto a cruise called the Big Red Boat.
Right.
And so they called it a boat.
Well, and I think as a kid in the 90s, that's just something like stuff you see on TV sticks with you.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, it's a boat.
It's a boat.
That's, I don't know, you know.
Sorry, it's a ship. We will try our hardest to remember to call it a ship throughout this video. And
the next time that we go on a cruise, we will definitely not call it a boat.
Hopefully.
I can pinky promise you that.
She will definitely not call it a boat. I, on the other hand, will probably call it a boat 600 times. So one of the very first things that I learned while on the ship is that they have this thing that gets delivered to your stateroom every night during turn-down service called the Navigator. This is the schedule of everything that's happening on that day, split up into morning, afternoon, and night. And they have a bunch of other information on the back and stuff like that. This is from our day at Grand Cayman and our Pirates in the Caribbean night. This particular piece of paper was so much easier to read than the app was. The app had all of this information in it, the Disney Cruise Line app, and it was very convenient because it was like in my phone and I could just keep it in my pocket. But that piece of paper is a lifesaver.
Well, it's very much like the TV guide.
Right.
I mean, it makes it so easy to plan your day.
And there's even like little fold lines on the back, so you can fold this into like a little brochure.
Keep it in your pocket.
Keep it in your pocket.
Yeah.
And just like pull it out like, oh, it's 11:15 in the morning right now. Let's go create a postcard in the Oceaneers Club.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't do that because of kids things, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was definitely something that I wish that I didn't really realize what it was until I didn't even download the app until probably like day 3.
Yeah.
So also download the app like as soon as you get on the boat.
No, download
Sorry.
the app before you get on the boat.
The ship. I just broke my pinky promise. But yeah, download it. You want to have it on your phone for sure.
Yeah, because that's how there's like a messaging app so you can message in between guests, but Navigator was much easier.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, when you first get into your stateroom, look around at everything. Look at every piece of paper, because this was like in a spot somewhere in the stateroom. And for 3 days, I had no idea where it was. And I didn't realize we're getting a new one each day.
That's what I mean. We didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
We were just like, oh, cool, this thing again.
Yeah.
And then we were like, wait, we should be reading this.
And there's all kinds of other pieces of paper and information about different things all throughout the stateroom. And new stuff gets delivered to you every day. So definitely have a look around every time you get into your stateroom. Another thing that I didn't realize, and this is something that we did that Disney set up for us, was ticketed meet and greets. Because when Disney first set it up for me, they're like, we have tickets set up for you to go meet Groot. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's like a free charge that they did for us, or a free thing that they did for us. But it's free for anybody.
Right. But you have to reserve your tickets beforehand.
Right, because of the popularity, like the Princess Gathering. That was a very popular meet and greet, so they have specific set times that you get a ticket for, and it's free. You just do it beforehand in your My Disney Cruise experience online on the Disney Cruise Line website, and then you reserve a package, and then that ticket gets delivered to your room, and then you have your ticket for your time to go meet the princesses.
Yeah, and that whole experience was, it was quick. Like, they kind of just move you right down the line, but it was cute, and I could see it as something that, like, the kids, you definitely want to sign them up for that.
Right. Another thing that was free that I didn't realize was free, and this was something that I said in the video when you were like, we should go do the towel folding, and I was like, oh no, I think we needed to sign up for that, and it costs money. It doesn't.
And I'm actually really sad that we didn't realize that, because there were so many things that I would have liked to have done.
So apparently there are, and I might be wrong on this specific thing because I didn't look this up, I'm just going off a commenter. The only thing that you have to pay for on the ship as far as activity goes is like mixology or like tequila tastings and bingo.
Which I didn't realize that you had to pay for bingo, but it makes sense because there was always a big jackpot for bingo. Like they had a $10,000 one, a $7,000 one.
There it is. $7,000 mega jackpot bingo.
Yeah. The next time that we do a cruise, I will definitely be taking some of those classes.
Yeah, and also the other thing about this Navigator that wasn't in the app, you can see there's some like blue sections here and there. Those are all open houses. So the Edge, Vibe, Oceaneers Lab, Oceaneers Club, those are all age-limited areas, like specifically for kids or preteens or teens. And then they have these blue things that are open houses where anybody can go and check it out. And another thing that some commenters told us about that wasn't on our ship specifically, apparently there's this Muppet game that's supposed to be like Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. That kind of gives you a chance to explore the boat and kind of get to know the boat a little bit better through a game.
It wasn't on ours, right?
Right, it wasn't on ours.
Gotcha.
It's on some of the bigger ships.
It sounds cool though.
Yeah, if we go on another cruise and it's on a different ship, I will definitely be checking that out.
I'm just going to call this video, on our next cruise, we'll be doing...
The next thing that I learned was that hot breakfast is not available for room service.
No, you can get like a continental breakfast, like pastries and I think juices and stuff.
Yeah, and you could get coffee, but it wasn't any like eggs or bacon or anything like you couldn't get.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, like if you've ever stayed in a hotel where you have the door hanger where you like fill it out and you're like the night before, you're like, I want 2 croissants. Then you hang it on the door and like, please deliver it to me at 6 a.m. That was something that I didn't realize until we were already on the ship. And the other thing that we got a lot of questions about was, is room service free? And yes.
But you have to tip whoever is bringing your food to you. So make sure that you tip them. Other than that, it's free. And I don't think that the room service food was like terrible.
Right.
But it wasn't something that I would much rather go to one of the eatery places than to do room service.
Right.
So I would rather go get a shawarma or go get a slice of pizza or a burger out by the pool than to order the room service. Another
thing about breakfast is that on days where you're at a port of call, the buffet opens a little bit earlier.
Oh, okay.
So normally throughout the cruise, any day that we were at sea, it opened at 7:30.
Yeah.
And anything that Disney had planned for us was at 8. And it was like, oh man, that's not enough time to eat breakfast.
It would have been smart for us to get the continental breakfast delivered those days. That's
Right.
something I just wish that we had known about it.
Right.
But yeah.
But on days where you're at ports of call, it opened at 6.
Yeah.
So just the little things here and there. The next thing that we learned was that Castaway Cay is amazing. And it's also very gigantic.
Yeah. I thought it is bigger than you think.
Right.
Yeah.
And we thought, like, we got to get on the island. We got to go find a chair. We got to stake it out. I don't think you have to do that.
I think the only thing that you have to like stake out are the hammocks.
Right.
The hammocks were gone. I mean, like within the first 30 minutes of being on the island. So I think that's the only thing that they run out of are the hammocks.
Yeah. Everything else, there was chairs all over the place, plenty of
Yeah.
beach space.
Oh yeah.
And we got a few comments saying that we were calling it Castaway Cay, and they're like, that's not right.
That's how they pronounce it.
Yeah.
That's how they pronounce it on the ship, on the tram, like going to the onto the island. That's how they pronounced it. That's just how they pronounce it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it does look like it is Castaway Cay.
But don't you guys remember there was a book I had to read in high school called The Key,
Yeah.
and it was spelled Cay. But so maybe that wasn't on everybody's high school reading list.
I don't know, I think it was like a Florida book.
Was it? Probably, yeah. That makes sense. But so we always mispronounce things, but I think we got that one right.
The first tip that I have for you guys is the best time to go and do a meet and greet are the late night meet and greets. And I say late.
Right.
So after the second dinner around...
Like 10.
Let me look at my Navigator.
Right.
Starting at 9:30, 9:15 to 10:15. There's basically no kids in line,
Yeah.
nobody out there that late because it's late. And then the other thing is that the best time to go to the adults only pool is during the first dinner service and after the second dinner service.
Well, there was a video where we talked about the pool and then we didn't show the pool. And you guys were like, I thought you were going to show the pool. But when we went, there were 3 people in the pool. And I felt weird, just being like, there's 3 people in the pool doing pool stuff. Woo. So we didn't leave that in. But there were only 3 people there.
Yeah.
It seemed very calm.
Oh, yeah. And there was a bar at that pool, too, that was dead.
Yeah.
There was one person there.
Yeah. Well, and they have servers that will just come to your lounger or to your table too, so you don't even need to go to the bar.
Yeah. Also, another thing that I should mention is right next to that specific pool is a place called The Cove, which was a coffee bar, which is kind of an interesting mix of free and pay. So if
Yeah.
you get like a latte, you have to pay for the latte. But if you want a pastry, the pastry's free.
Right, that was nice that they gave you the pastry. Also, I was going to mention with the bars, so I did order like beer a couple of times while we were out by the pool, and the beers are about $10.
Yeah.
Just to give you guys an idea of what you might spend on a beer. But they did have bucket deals, and I just ordered like one at a time, so I didn't get one of those. But I think it was $8 for the beer, and then I tipped $2.
One of the most prevalent things that I noticed about this specific Disney cruise that I was actually really surprised is how prevalent the hand washing was. There was a lot of hand washing going on. Every time that we went to the buffet, there was a hand washing station and they wouldn't let you in the doors until you washed your hands.
Yeah. Well, and then when we got on the ship where Mickey was coming out and we were sanitizing our hands, I didn't realize that it was required.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I'll sanitize my hands and be extra clean. But like, you have to do it. It's not an optional thing. And I didn't realize that you have to wash your... And before you go into every dinner, they give you a hand sanitizing wipe. Everybody wipes their hands. Like, it's serious.
Yeah. And speaking of dinners, another thing that we should mention is that you have a rotational dining plan. So when you first get on the ship, you are assigned however many nights you have, a restaurant for each night. And when you first get to the restaurant, you get a server. There's a server and assistant server. They stay with you for the entire cruise. So first night we were at Rapunzel's. We had a server and assistant server. The next night we were at...
Well, we were at Palo, so we had a different server that night.
Okay, and then the third night we were at Lumiere's, and we had our same server from the first night.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting thing, and all of those meals were free,
Right.
except for Palo. Palo was an extra charge.
So at the time that we went on the cruise, it was $30 a person to eat at Palo, and I would totally do it again. And I would honestly, if you could, I would do the dinner and the brunch.
Right.
Can you book both?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that.
And also that does not include tip, because you tip that server separately than your rotational server.
Right. And it also doesn't include any of the alcohol that you would have. So like I had a glass of wine with dinner, and that was what we paid for. We paid for the wine and the tip.
Any alcohol on the ship is not included.
Yeah.
Something that I found that was like kind of still a little bit confusing right now is dressing up. So there is a night where you can dress formal.
Okay, so we did have formal nights. However, it was during pirate night.
Right.
So a lot of people saved their formal attire for the very last night of the cruise.
Right.
So there was just so many dress up opportunities. I think it was just a lot.
And it still like is confusing to me because none of it was required. There's not like a required formal night.
No, it's just like a fun thing to do. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're all going to dress up. And a lot of people took it really seriously on the last night. So,
It was like going to prom.
yeah, I wish we had dressed up.
Maybe next time. Next cruise, we're
like,
dressing up every
We're
night.
just going to keep saying it. Next cruise.
So another thing about the cruise is that there are extra charges. One of the extra charges that we specifically opted for was the massage.
I'm gonna call this my Tokyo raincoat part 2.
Oh yeah.
Well, here's what it was. So the first day on the ship, everybody's touring the ship. Everybody's looking around. So a lot of people go to the spa because they want to see the spa.
And there's
so,
also a raffle that you enter in for a free massage.
So we were there looking at the spa. They're actively trying to get you to book a massage. So they're
Right.
kind of like sweet talking it and like, you got to do this, you got to do this. We wanted to do a couples massage, and then she said, "Oh no, you want to do this," which she was right. We
Yeah.
did want to do
It
that.
was a really good massage.
But she took us back to that room, and we got to see, where we had our massage, and then the private balcony with the spa and all of that. But I think that because they're trying to sell you, we were not, and this is partially our fault, where we didn't pay attention.
Right.
And unfortunately, we thought we were double charged for the spa day, which we mentioned in the last video, but we weren't double charged. We just didn't understand what they were going to charge us.
Right. So we thought that it was going to be like $300 for the both of us.
Which sounds honestly too good to be true, and we should have realized that.
Right.
Because we were like, $300 for a 2-hour massage, our own private balcony, our own private hot tub, like all this stuff. $300, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And really, we didn't pay attention to the price. That was $300 per person.
Right.
It was actually $267, I think, per person.
And then we tipped on top of that.
Right. So then when we got the bill and it said, here's your additional gratuity that we've already included, we were like, oh, we have to add more. This is such a good deal.
Right.
So then we tipped really well. And then we realized we got charged twice.
Right.
So yeah.
There it is.
So
That
somebody in the comments said that was a $497 massage, but it was more than that. And
Right.
we were sad. But also happy. It was a good massage.
It was the best massage I've ever had.
Oh yeah.
And thinking about it, it was worth the money that we paid for it. But that was a sting. That was a lot of money.
It was worth the money that we paid for it, like in the moment. When
Right.
you're sitting in that hot tub and you're looking out over the ocean and you're eating your chocolate-covered strawberries and you just had your 2-hour massage, it's like, heck yeah, of course I would pay this again. I would pay it right now again. Mm-hmm. Thinking back on it, it's kind of like, would I do that again? I don't know. That was a lot of money. Like, that's a lot of money.
It is.
Yeah, so I don't know. If I was on a ship right now, I would do it again.
Yeah.
But sitting in this chair, like, thinking about it, no, I wouldn't do it again.
It's a hard one.
Yeah. I think I was just mad because I didn't understand how much it was.
Right.
And I think that really upset me because then when we talked to concierge about it, they were just like, sorry.
Yeah.
And I get it because we just didn't read. I would just say, my advice would be, if you plan on doing something like this, ask them the total. Like,
Right.
for both of us, what will the total be? Because when I asked them what would the total be, she gave me my total. But like, it's a couple's massage, so just give me both of them together. And I fully recognize that, this cruise was free. We didn't pay for hardly anything.
Right.
So, but I think this was more so, we just wanted to relay what happened so that if you guys go on a cruise and you book a massage, that you don't make the mistake that we did.
Right.
That's really the only reason why we're talking about it, is just so that you guys know to ask the total. Because if we had asked the total, I don't know if we would have done it.
We probably would have done it.
But that was our full like spa experience. It was good. It was just the total was surprising is all.
Earlier we were talking about checked bags, and that was something that was very confusing to me when we first got there. So the idea is you show up at the terminal, and this is specifically for the Miami terminal. I don't know how the Port Canaveral terminal is, but you show up at the terminal and you start walking in the direction of signs that say Disney. And somebody stops you and says, "Hey, I'm your porter. Can I take your bags?" And I'm like, "I guess so."
But it's like just a random person.
Yeah.
So it seems kind of like, I hope my bag makes it. And it will. It did.
Yeah. And then you tip that guy.
Yeah.
And then...
And you want to tip him like a couple of bucks per bag.
Right.
So we had 2 bags. We just gave him $5.
Right. And then, so then you head on to the cruise ship and you've got your carry-on bags, which have people suggested to us to bring like a bathing suit, a change of clothes for dinner and stuff like that. And then whatever, like you had the 2 bottles of champagne.
Yeah.
Any sort of extra stuff like that that is allowed. And that all depends on the cruise ship.
Really quick, I just want to add about the champagne. So you can bring 2 bottles of wine per guest or 6 beers per guest. So I brought 2 bottles of champagne in my luggage just to kind of like offset some of the pricing of the alcohol on the ship. And I'm glad I did it. It's a good idea. I would highly recommend doing that.
Yeah. And so like the checked bag thing is pretty straightforward when you're first getting on the cruise ship.
Yeah.
When you're getting off the cruise ship, it's a little bit less straightforward.
I think they just assume that you know. They're just like, you know what to do.
So here's what you do. They give you little colored luggage tags that you write your name and your stateroom and everything on. Ours specifically were orange Goofy.
Yeah.
And you put it on your bag the night before you're leaving. So our Castaway Cay night, we packed up all of our checked luggage and you put your tag on it and then you just set it out in the hallway between, it said between 8 and 10. But I think
you could do it early. Yeah, if you were ready earlier, you could do it earlier.
Yeah. And then when you come back to the room after dinner, it's gone.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, you wake up and then they start making announcements. They're like, okay, Customs has cleared Orange Goofy to go ashore. And then you can go ashore if you want to. Or if you don't want to check your bag, you don't have to.
If you want to get off the ship early.
Right. Like as early as 7:15 in the morning. You just keep your luggage with you and you just walk off the ship and then just go home.
Yeah.
But if you do that, I don't think that you can do the sit-down restaurant for breakfast.
But you can go to cabanas.
Right.
So.
But if you check your bags, you can go to, for us specifically, it was Animator's Palette. But it was whatever restaurant you went to the night before.
For dinner.
Yeah. You go to that morning for breakfast. And if you went to the early dinner, you go to the early breakfast. If you went to the late dinner, you go to the late breakfast.
Our server was saying that a lot of people get upset about the early breakfast. They're like, why do I have to go to the 6 a.m. breakfast?
Because you picked the early dinner.
Yeah. I am happy that we picked the late dinner. If that's something that you guys are questioning, like, what you should do, the late dinner was late. It was at 8:15.
Yeah.
We don't eat that late. We eat at like 5.
Right.
But it was nice because it was a little bit more quiet. So just to kind of throw that in there.
And if you're concerned about being hungry at like waiting for such a late dinner,
there's food everywhere.
Yeah, and just order room service or something like that.
We did that a couple of times because actually right before our dinner, so between I think 7 and 8, the food places are closed.
Except for one.
Except for where you get the hot dogs, I think, right?
Yeah, hot dogs and hamburgers.
So you can't get the pizza, you can't get the shawarma, but you can get a hot dog, you can get a hamburger. So we did do room service a couple of times during that time frame, but there's always some form of food that you can eat.
Right. And the last little like tidbit that I learned, or maybe like tip that I can give you guys, is that your key to your stateroom is called the key to the world. And that is everything. When you first get on the ship, when you're first leaving the port or leaving the terminal, you scan it and they take your picture. And then from that point on, that key is attached to your face. So anytime that you want to buy something, you scan it and then a picture pops up on their end like, oh, that's this person.
Right.
They're allowed to be using this card.
Yeah, because it is like your ship credit.
Right.
So it's directly connected to your credit card.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is if you get off the boat at a port of call, you need to take a form of ID, like for us it was our passports, and your key to the world card. So when you're getting back on, you show them your key to the world card or you scan it, and then you show them your passport, and they're like, okay, this is the correct person. They're supposed to be on this boat. Come aboard.
Yeah.
And then you also go through a metal detector at each port of call when you're getting back on the boat. And that brings us to the portion of the video that we're going to call like frequently asked questions.
Okay.
So these are questions that we got kind of a lot in the comments, and we're just going to kind of run through them right now. The most common question that we got was, what ship are you on?
Oh, we were on the Disney Magic.
Yeah.
So we didn't, I guess the very first day of the Disney Cruise Week, we may not have mentioned the ship at all.
Right.
Like the actual name of the ship. So we were on the Disney Magic, and it was the first cruise ship that Disney ever built, actually. So
This is the oldest one.
yeah, it
and
is.
the smallest.
And you can tell that it's, aged.
Right.
It's not like the newest ship. It doesn't look the newest, but it still looks good.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
were constantly painting that ship.
I know, I could not believe they were constantly painting something.
Yeah.
Every day, all the time. And some of it was on the outside of the ship, and some of it was like on deck and stuff. It was really interesting to see.
Here's another question for you specifically is, did you get seasick?
Okay, I said that I got seasick, but I don't know if it was actual seasickness. I didn't throw up, but I felt like dizzy. I felt like I was gonna fall over. I felt like I could faint at any second almost. I wish I could
We're calling
explain.
that getting your sea legs.
Yeah, I was not used to that feeling, and I did not like the way it felt. So the pirate night was the night that we were turning around to go towards Castaway Cay, right?
So it was the day that we were leaving Grand Cayman.
And so we turned around, and you could feel the ship, like you could feel that your body was going in a different direction. And so it felt like you were constantly kind of like this.
And the waves were coming out the ship from a different angle now.
Okay.
So the entire first half of the voyage, we were heading south. Mm-hmm. We went to Grand Cayman, we turned around and started heading north.
And you could feel the difference.
Yeah.
That's when I felt sick. So that night I didn't feel very good, but I felt fine the next day. I got used to it. And then as soon as we got home, we drove home. We were totally fine. I think we were just tired. But then when we got home, I felt like we were drunk.
Yeah, it was a lot of like...
Yeah, like your body, I've never had vertigo, but I feel like that's what vertigo feels like. It really, like, the whole world was spinning. And I remember I was leaning down to start doing laundry, and I, like, fell over.
Yeah, you, like, fall forward.
Yeah, I could not catch my balance. It was really a weird feeling. It went away after, like, 24 hours, though.
And it happened to me, I noticed it the most when I was washing my hands, because I would do, like...
Yeah, it was very strange. But that's what I felt, and I didn't like it.
So a lot of people asked, was the food free? And we kind of already covered this. Yeah, for the most part, it was free. Most food items on a cruise ship are free.
Yeah.
Dietary restrictions. Some people were asking, like, are there vegan options? Are there gluten-free options? And they were really good about this sort of thing. We don't have any sort of dietary restrictions, but we did witness a few people talking to the chefs.
Yeah.
And they came out, they made special arrangements for, like, people with shellfish allergies or anything like that. So,
And they asked before every meal about allergies and dietary restrictions. So they were really good about it.
and I even saw somebody in Cabanas, the buffet, ask about dairy-free stuff. Like, is this dairy-free? And the chefs behind there were like, oh, this isn't, but this is, and I can make you something special here.
Yeah.
So they were really good about it.
They really were.
This is just a question from me.
Okay.
Is there something that you would pack for the next cruise that we go on that you didn't pack this time?
I would pack a formal dress, like for formal night, for sure. I would pack whatever cruise I'm on. I would pack a dress-up outfit for that cruise. So, like, if we went on the Star Wars Day at Sea cruise, I would pack a Star Wars outfit.
Yeah.
I would make sure to be more, like, themed outfits, to bring more themed outfits. But I do want to answer what I would not bring again.
What?
Because there were so many things that I packed that I didn't use.
What
Like,
else? What?
my hair curler and my hair straightener, I did not use it once. I would not bring that again. I didn't have time to, like, get pretty.
Right.
I barely had time to take a shower. Like, there was no time. So I would not bring that again, and I would bring less makeup.
Yeah?
I didn't wear as much makeup as I thought I was going to. And all of my hair stuff, I brought, like, all kinds of crazy hair stuff, like, that I just, like, mousse and styling spray and this and that, and I didn't use any of it. So I would just bring my dry shampoo and my mascara, call it a day.
I like that. I don't know if there's anything that I would bring extra, because I feel like I brought too much stuff.
That's what I mean. I think we overpacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely bring 2 check bags. We did like 1.5 check bags. Mm-hmm. I would do 2 full-size check bags because we barely had enough room for the stuff that we bought on the ship as far as souvenirs go.
Yeah.
So I would try to get a little bit extra room and, like, leave a little bit of space for souvenirs. So although this cruise was comped to us by Disney, we did end up spending some money on the cruise.
We did. I mean, there were lots of things that we did on our own. And I think we said it in the videos a few times, but we did things that we wouldn't normally do because we had more leeway as far as spending money for the cruise. Right. So we did do things that were pricey, but I'm glad that we tried them.
Right.
So total for the cruise, a lot of people asked, how much did you actually spend? And total for the cruise, we spent $1,500. And that was $600 for the spa day.
And then souvenirs, and
Yeah.
I drink a lot of coffee, so there was like, I drank coffee drinks like lattes. Tipping, like anytime that we ordered room service, we would tip. Anytime that we ordered a coffee or a drink, we would tip.
Well, and I think you kind of forget because you're not handing them physical money. You're just like, oh yeah, let's tip them $20. Like, I think you get a little overboard.
And it's also a lot of places, the tip is already factored in, and then we would just add another tip on top.
Well, because I felt bad. We didn't pay for anything.
Right.
So I felt bad just leaving somebody $1.
Right.
So we doubled everything that we got. But some people were asking about our tipping. That was also included with Disney, like Disney paid for that as well. So they paid to tip the head server, the assistant server, and the room hostess.
So if you go on the Disney Cruise Line website, which we will link in the description down below, they have like a guideline. Here's how much you should tip per day for this person, for this person, for this person. And they have this same package that Disney provided with us, which is like a pre-tip. You pay for the tip ahead of time, and then you get like a little piece of paper that you put inside an envelope and you can hand to your server or the hostess or whoever, then saying that it's already been paid for. We opted to add a little bit of extra cash, bringing it like we doubled their tip.
Yeah, we just doubled whatever Disney was like, okay, you tip this person $40. We then added another $40 in there to tip them. Everybody was working so hard, and everybody was, there really was like the Disney difference even on the cruise ship. So because all of the cast members that were on our like rotation as far as servers and the room hostess, they were with us for the full 5 days. We got to know them, they got to know us. It was nice to recognize their hard work. They were working so hard and they were doing such a good job. So it just made sense to give them extra. They really did do a great job.
And as far as the cost of the cruise goes, a lot of people were like, how much would this cruise cost us if we did it?
Yeah.
It's really hard to say because cruise costs kind of go up and down throughout the season depending on, and I'm sure there's some website out there that's like, here's the best time to buy a Disney cruise.
Right.
And I think I remember back to hearing sometime that it was like right as soon as a Disney cruise gets posted, like this cruise is sailing on this day. If you book that day, that's the best price you will ever get.
Well, right.
But as cruises get closer, it's interesting to watch the prices change because...
Well, it's just like airfare, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to fill the rooms in order to like sail.
Yeah.
So as cruises get closer to sailing time, like there's one coming up in February where it's actually cheaper to book a veranda room than it is an inside stateroom.
Wow.
So
definitely look at the website. So I think we figured out though that the cruise that we were on would have been about $6,000.
I think so, yeah.
So, and that was about what we paid to go to Tokyo.
Yeah.
And that was a 2-week trip. So it just kind of gives you an idea of what they could cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a lot of people have said in the comments, it's not the cheapest cruise that you can take, but I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I had a good time on that cruise.
Although we don't have anything to really compare it to,
Right.
I would say that it was worth the price. Like I would pay that out of pocket to do
Right.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it. That was our like kind of follow-up video to our experience on the Disney Cruise Line.
I know, I'm sorry. I feel like it's probably very long and we probably rambled a lot, but hopefully we gave you guys some good information so that if you book a cruise, or even if you just had any questions about cruising, maybe we could have answered at least one of them, hopefully. We don't really know a lot, but we're learning.
Yeah, and I feel like this was a good learning experience. This cruise, we learned a lot on it.
I think every time we go somewhere, because we don't prepare for it, we always end up learning a lot.
Yeah, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed Cruise Week.
Thank you guys for watching. I could not believe how many of you guys tuned in every day to watch the Cruise Week videos. And just judging based on that, is there somewhere else you guys would like for us to go? It seems like you guys enjoyed the series style video.
Right.
Do you? Let me know in the comments, because if you do, then we'll kind of work on doing more of that. But where should we go next?
Right.
Yeah, I want to know. Let me know.
Me too. And so with that being said, we are off and we will see you guys tomorrow.
And now it's time to pay the price.